Hey everyone, how's it going? Octopus here and welcome back to evercrisis. I'm going to read to you guys a really unique article that's going to be interviewing three major key components of the game, evercrisis. They talk about future characters, what they thought about collaborations, just their idea of how they look at the game as they're designing it. There's a lot of heartfelt moments over here, a lot of love towards the game and the community, and they talk about having the game continue for years to come and other characters they want to release. There's a lot of hush hush as well, but we're going to read the article together and go through it because I think this is important when it comes to a player base that doesn't really have that community manager there, so we don't really hear feedback properly or updates. I would really like that, but this is the next step into seeing what's happening behind the scenes. How do they feel about developing the game, and do they see the game being carried on for years to come? So this interview is from a website called Famitsu.com. So they interviewed three big names you probably know: Tetsuya Nomura, Matomu Toriyama, and Soichi Ichikawa. I'm pretty sure I butchered those names. I always do, even when it comes to just names in my language. But this interview is very unique, and we never get to see this side of the development team, of the people who are working on it, the effort they put in, and I want to share this with you guys. So, of course, the article, this is where we got our gift codes from, and I was looking at this in live stream, and I never really read it, so I thought we should read it as a video. So we're going to start off with a section down here. First off, please tell us your honest thoughts on the first anniversary of the service launch. So this is the interviewer, and then they have each name here so you know who's talking. Ichikawa says, looking back, it feels like it went by in a flash, and that's my honest impression. When I think back, a lot of things happened, and every month I was thinking of events and collaborations to give everyone something to enjoy. So it was a very intense year. It felt like it was sprinting a marathon, but I was encouraged by the feedback from our users so many times that it felt like a marathon with lots of water points, and he laughs about that joke. I want to keep running from now on. No more. Even though it's been a year, we feel like we've been doing this for so much longer. And then Toriyama clicks in with this. If you include the development period, you've been involved with this game for quite a long time. Even after the service started, we recently added new guild battles, and new features required a certain amount of preparation time. For example, when creating 3D graphic resources, preparation started about a year and a half in advance. So they were sitting there for a year and a half before the game was even released, working on all this, and it shows you okay, why don't they do this and why don't they do this whenever we're playing the game? It's because it looks like it takes a very long time for them to even implement something. So that kind of feedback is really cool to see. Toriyama says, we prepare lots of events and stories about a year in advance, and we start working on features improving 6 months in advance. In addition to that, we do play tests for the latest measures, and of course, since the release of the product version, we have been playing with the general public every day. Right now, we are also working on the final part of Final Fantasy VII Remake Project Trilogy, so sometimes I don't know what I'm doing. When people ask me about Highwind, I say, which one? And then he laughs, because the question up here was confusion of which Highwind is this, and then they didn't talk about it until this part. So, starting with the Monster Hunter collaboration, Toriyama says, or the interviewer asks, looking back at the past year, what is the most memorable thing? Toriyama says, I guess it would have to be the collaboration with Monster Hunter. In addition to the episodes that were not included in the main story and are connected to the world of Final Fantasy VII, one of the concepts of evercrisis is to depict episodes in a world different from 7. But the collaboration with Monster Hunter was later event, which could never have been done in the main story. So it seems like it's their first time going for something that wasn't really relatable to the Final Fantasy franchise. So there was the Final Fantasy 9 collaboration, 7, where Monster Hunter is a totally different one. So they talk about the set of rules they had here. Was it refreshing to create an episode based on the worldview of another company? Toriyama says it was fun to think about how to incorporate the worldview of Monster Hunter in the world of Final Fantasy VII. As long as I'm at Square Enix, I can't write the lines of, I think this might be a Hunter character, are you? It seems that there are strict rules for each line, phrase, and word usage in Monster Hunter, and Capcom provides supervision based on those rules, which was very refreshing and educational. Ichikawa says the supervision of the scenario was one thing, but personally, the supervision of the costumes left a strong impression on me. Cloud's dino armor was designed to be Cloud-like as possible while keeping in mind of the equipment of Monster Hunter. It was very difficult to match the outline and texture of the equipment that is important to Monster Hunter with Cloud's character, but it was a fresh and interesting experience. So I remember reviewing these costumes and I was like, some of these, man, I didn't like some parts, and some parts I really liked. Like the sword is amazing. So it seems like they did have issues and they had kind of like roadblocks of what they could do, but they had a fun time doing it regardless, and that's what's important. Nomura is like, I especially had a hard time finding the right balance for Tifa's Kieran gear. The Kieran gear from Monster Hunter is fluffy with fur and has voluminous design towards the toes. It was difficult to balance that design with Tifa's silhouette in Final Fantasy VII, and of course we know what that looks like, and there is parts here where I'm like, it could have been better, but overall they're trying to keep that theme of 7 and Monster Hunter work with each character. Apart from the collaboration, are there any events that left a strong impression on you? Personally, I really enjoyed the Valentine's Day event because I got to see this cute side of each character. So that was the interviewer. And Toriyama says, for the Valentine's Day event, there is a gondola date scene at the Gold Saucer in the original game. But I thought if there was a date outside of the Gold Saucer, it would be something like this. At first, I envisioned a format where you could choose your partner, like the gondola date in the original work. But I thought that if I did that, you wouldn't be able to see everyone's event, so I went with the format. So that's the event we got. We kind of went through a cute story, and then we had this amazing wallpaper. Ichikawa says the Valentine's Day event home background feature of the 4 female characters huddling together, which was available in the Seasons Pass, was also very popular. I received a lot of comments about it, which made me really happy. So it's kind of cute to hear them like giggle and laugh about the things they did and seeing how everyone loves it. This one came out really good. I do agree with that. So the interviewer also asked Ichikawa what impressed him the most. He said, personally, I enjoyed the battle events, especially the strong enemy attack series. Among them, the strong enemy attack Sephiroth Descent was particularly exciting, and I myself have not been able to defeat Crash Sephiroth. So if possible, I would like to reprint it somewhere. So he wants to bring it back just so he can beat it. That's cool. They talk about the difficulty of story here and stamina issue, and there's a lot of feedback here. So the interviewer says, speaking of battles, I think there was a lot of comments from users about the difficulty of boss battles in the main story. What are your thoughts? Ichikawa says, as for the story battles, as we mentioned in the last official live broadcast, we are working towards making them easier to play. It's balanced if you can properly train the weapons and everything. So I might kind of break this down because I did read this ahead of time. They took the feedback of the community, and they're like, as long as you're getting the event weapons and leveling them up and leveling up your character, you can complete the story. And then a lot of people were talking about stamina and how stamina was also an issue. So they're always thinking about ways to increase stamina, right? I also tend to run out of stamina of potions. And Ishikawa says, regarding stamina, when you improve your stamina, you run out of gil. And when you run out of gil, you get stamina. Or when you get rid of gil, you get stamina, and so on. There might be like mistranslations here because I use Google Translate, but for the gist of this, you can kind of get the idea. We want to respond to the voices who say that there aren't enough stamina potions at the moment, and we are constantly thinking of ways to make the game easier to play, such as increasing the opportunities to obtain stamina potions through various campaigns. In my opinion, I feel like they should just lower the stamina cost of potions instead of giving us more potions to restore stamina. If stamina was just a little bit less in the game, the balancing would be good. You didn't have to farm as much instead of just constantly giving people stamina. But I think they want to do that to make you log in to complete events, because if they just make it that the stamina system's there's less people logging in, less people to see their work and enjoy it, and to spend money on the game. So I think they're going to continue with this whole stamina pot because they can use it as a reward system. So this next part is actually really interesting. They talk about the level cap and how there's nothing else beyond that. Ichikawa responds, if we raise the level cap too quickly, the gap between new players will become larger, so we are basically going to raise it as necessary while looking at the overall balance of force and difficulty of the quest. If we do raise the cap, we are thinking of implementing a set of easy to earn quests and training events such as the Golden Bomb Rush, so we'll make a separate announcement at that time. Therefore, we would like you to continue collecting memories for each character. So they're warning us to collect memories for each character because they are planning to go level 80 and above, or above level 80, but not anytime soon because of the player difference. And right now they're trying to bring players that are old to come back and new players by giving them costumes, weapons, ways to level up their characters currently to 80 really fast. So it's going to be a while, hopefully like a couple months before level 90 is there. There is plans, obviously, because it's part of the game. So they address that in the interview, which is cool. The next stage after First Soldier arc is Wutai. Angeal's now playable Masamune's secret will be also revealed. This right here is deserving of its own video, but I'm going to read this because it's part of the article, but I want to talk about this separately later on. So, what is the most memorable thing for you, Nomura? Nomura says, for me, it would be appearance of young Sephiroth, as he is a symbolic character for this title. Young Sephiroth is quite different from the Sephiroth we've known up until now. Interview says, Nomura responds with, there are some parts that make you feel like a teenager, so I think that was also impressive. Interview says, Glenn appeared in Rebirth, but he was also quite different. Will the circumstances that led to Glenn becoming like that be depicted in the future? Toriyama says, it may be depicted somewhere, but that's a little further down the line. The mission of Glenn and the other three in Young Sephiroth in the First Soldier arc ended with a sad outcome in many ways. Please let us know as much as you can about the future development. Toriyama clicks in with, the story we're going to depict is set in a timeline that's been around for less than a year, since young Sephiroth finished his missions with Glenn and the others. The spotlight will be on young Sephiroth, who will visit a certain area in the Wutai area, where Angeal will join him as a colleague. The story will depict Sephiroth and Angeal, as well as other characters, and will depict Sephiroth's further growth. So they're basically saying Angeal is a playable character, and it's coming out soon. Sephiroth and Angeal, will Genesis also be involved? Asked the interviewer. So this one's interesting. Nomura, that's a secret, and he laughs. Nomura laughs. I think the inner working of the young Sephiroth will continue. This is from Ichikawa. They don't really tell you about Genesis at all, but you know Genesis is going to be in the game. They're going to put every character they can. So Ichikawa says, I think the inner workings of the young Sephiroth will continue to be one of the points of interest in the story. I think the relationship between Sephiroth and Angeal will also be a highlight, and of course Angeal will be playable. So right there, verified. Angeal will be playable. Oh, Angeal is finally playable, the interview says. I'm also curious about the relationship between Angeal and the Buster Sword. I understand that there will also be an episode about Masamune, the weapon that symbolizes Sephiroth. This part is super interesting, so pay attention. Nomura, as for Masamune, I was actually consulted about how to handle him in Rebirth. It would be unnatural to have him in the open world all the time while moving around the field, so what they did was they hid it. And he couldn't carry it on his back like Cloud, so we were like, what should we do? I see. I remember that at the beginning of Final Fantasy Rebirth, when he went on a mission with Sephiroth, he didn't have the Masamune outside of battle. Nomura says, that's right. At that time, I told Rebirth team members Masamune actually has a secret, and that mystery will be revealed in evercrisis. So they're going to talk about the secret of this sword in evercrisis before they do in the main game. They probably will put in the main game first and then this, but I feel like they're gonna reveal it here because the main game's still a long way to come. So the fact that evercrisis is getting that big part of the story is kind of cool. And then Toriyama comes in and says, I also plan to draw a reason for the depiction of Masamune disappearing when moving on the field, but appearing in battle. Furthermore, there is an all episode about how Masamune was created and why Sephiroth ended up obtaining it. And that's it. So the interview says, that's interesting. By the way, will adult Sephiroth be a playable character? Ichikawa says, I'm thinking about it someday, but since the story of young Sephiroth still continues, I think I will be a while before that happens. So not only did Nomura laugh about Genesis, they revealed Angeal's coming out, and then they're talking about future plans for adult Sephiroth as a playable character. So this interview is huge for us. Knowing that what's going to be coming out eventually is such a nice little thing to have. I really like this part of the interview. It's probably one of my favorites overall. Then they talk about how they improve the AI, limit breaks, and how it all works. And I've talked about this in my update videos. And this is nice because they're listening. So it shows they're listening to the community and they're updating things from the feedback. So you guys should never stop giving feedback. And I'm not talking about feedback where you're angry and you're yelling at them, but like actual general feedback that they can use is always good. So never stop, guys. It looks like they're listening and they're going to continue working on the game because they love it. So the next part of this article talks about the free clothing and all that, but they ask a very important question and have one of my favorite answers. If you were to choose something this time, which outfit would you choose? Toriyama says, I guess it's Red 13's outfit. There were only a few Red 13 outfits to begin with, but they often appear together with other outfits, so there are some that I missed. So he couldn't grab them all, and he skipped Red 13, but he wants them. As a recent direction of balance adjustments, we've been adjusting the character's characteristics in battle, or what we call roles, to be more clear, and Red 13 is always getting more opportunities to play as an active role as a debuffer, and that's why his Canyon, I think it was Canyon outfit, had only debuffing on it, because that's what they want to focus for him. For now, I only have Hellhound, like me, of Red 13, so I would love to dress him in another outfit in this campaign. So that's my number one choice. My other choice was Barret, and of course Ichikawa says, for me, it's Barret's Electro Armor. My tier list is great. This increases physical and magical defense by 20% and is wares that brings out Barret's tanky qualities even more. There are some contents that I want to conquer using this wear, so I like to try it on occasion. They know these two costumes are very amazing, and that's why they want to go for it. Not only for the characters, but because of how strong they are. So the interview continues to say, many of the wares in evercrisis have aggressive designs and concept that are different from the image of characters so far. What do you think, Mr. Nomura? Who is checking the designs? Nomura responds with, for the clothing, there are many variations of one motive that made the rough draft stage. Sometimes there are many designs, patterns, and at least 3 or 4. The interview just says that they revealed the drawings later on. And then Nomura continues to say, but there are so many good designs that it's always a real headache to decide which one to use. Interview says, any designs other than the ones that are selected are shelved? Nomura says, yes, there are so many items that are not on the market, so it's a shame to have them all. I'm always thinking about ways I can use them somewhere. Ichikawa says, people have said that it would be better to use a different variation for the same event next year, but I want to use different motives for the next year, so at the moment it's difficult to find a use for different variations of clothing. So they're basically saying if the summer event came back, use the different version of the summer event for a banner, but they want to do something else with it. Setting materials collection is released. I'd like to see it there. I'm not sure what this means. If a setting materials collection is released, I'd like to see it there. The Nomura says that's right. However, I think there will be voices saying this one is better when they see it, but it's not the design that didn't appear in the game were bad, but rather the design matches the event. And there are also balance issues with other characters, so it's really difficult to decide. So this might be talking about the costumes and they want to see like a change room where you can just alternate the costume. I could be wrong. You guys tell me what you think this is. Are there many designs that were not adopted, not only for the clothing but for the weapons? Ichikawa says there were quite a few weapons, however, weapons and clothing are considered as a set, so in terms of variations, there are more clothing. Is there anything you would like to release in the future for clothing? Interview asks. Nomura says maybe next summer we can release Swimsuit Bullet, and of course he laughs. What's a swimsuit bullet? What does that mean, chat? Chat. I guess so. You guys let me know in the comment section. I stream way too much on Twitch. Ichikawa says, I wonder if everyone will be happy, and then he laughs about the swimsuit bullet joke. The story, etc. in Bahamut is depicted for the first time, whereas design art is also revealed for the first time. But basically the gist of this is that they tried a new design, something that's not really Final Fantasy VII, more cybery, and they had a lot of fun doing it, right? Like Nomura says here, until now, the kind of design hasn't been used much in the world of Final Fantasy VII. But we had them draw it with the concept of taking a new approach for their first anniversary. There are also illustrations of Cloud and friends wearing this outfit, and it has a different atmosphere from Final Fantasy VII. And that's unexpectedness is exactly what we were aiming for this time. And of course, when you look at this, you don't think of Final Fantasy VII. If anything, it looks more like a Persona poster or something, right? So it's cool that they went out of their like comfort zone and made something new and tried something different. And then they talk about all the different illustrations and how there was all these choices. And they showed them here. I showed these in the update video, but if you guys come here and look at it, they have each one here in really high quality too. Right? So you guys have a lot out of this article if you want to explore it. So the next part that's really important about this is the possibility of a new numbered collaborations. Finally, could you tell us about aspirations for this game as it continues on through the 1.5 anniversary and 2nd anniversary? And this part's huge. Ichikawa says, first of all, I would like to say thank you to everyone who has played this game over the last year. The 1-year anniversary event is about to begin, but we on the development team are not only preparing for the second part of the first Soldier arc, but also preparing new collaborations with number of Final Fantasy titles and other events so that everyone can enjoy the game even after the first anniversary. We will do our best to continue on to the 3rd and 5th anniversaries rather than the 1.5 and 2nd anniversaries, so we hope you'll continue to join evercrisis. 5. They're planning 5 years. They want this game to continue, and stuff like this in this article really make it sound like it's worth to play the game. They're going to continue listening to feedback of the team, of the community, things they want to work on. They're having fun with designing, adding little things they couldn't do in the main story. So this is like their little love project where they get to just try and experiment and just make more story for the characters that they grew up building and really loving. So it's good to see this interview. Toriyama says, although we have just celebrated the first anniversary, the planning team has already started talking about the second anniversary. Laughs. We are considering various things, such as what the next motive should be. We hope you will enjoy the next anniversary, and by that time, information about the final work of the remake project may start to come out. So they're feeling in 1 year, they're going to talk about Final Fantasy Part 3. So we had Rebirth, Remake, and now they're going to have the third part information next year. Hopefully. It says hopefully anyways. And they're excited, may start to come out, so we hope you'll get excited together. Nomura says, as Toriyama said, we recently discussed the second anniversary. Talking about the second anniversary means that, of course, preparations are underway for everything leading up to that point. And the first anniversary will also be a major milestone. But we have already prepared a number of measures, so please look forward to them. So they're already planning events and things they want to do throughout this year. I think that the first anniversary will be a very well cared for new players and those returning, so I hope that you'll take this opportunity to play. Also, there are people who will play this while waiting for the installments of the remake project, and there are quite a few people whose main battlefield is evercrisis, so I feel like we have been able to create a new way to enjoy 7 over the course of the year. It will continue to be even more enjoyable in the future, so I hope that those who have enjoyed it so far and those who will play it in the future will look forward to it. That's a huge part. Again, showing care, showing that they want to go further out, and also talking about part 3 of the trilogy. And then the rest of the article is just gift codes for the readers and how to get them and how to redeem them. But overall, fantastic article. Absolutely love this article. They talk about everything they want for the game, how they listen to the community, things they had planned, how they've been going through it, how the game was designed a year in advance and how long it takes them to work on things, releasing info on Angeal, right? Laughing about Genesis. This article is great, man. So I thought it was a great read to bring up to you guys, let you know the game is loved and they plan on working on it for years to come. So that's a really good thing to have in the back of our mind as we're pulling for things, as we're playing and putting our time into it, knowing that the team behind this and the developers are really trying and listening to the community. So let me know what you guys think about this article. Thank you again to everyone that's part of the community who really enjoys the game, and to those that are working on the game, you guys are doing a great job. Please continue to listen to the community when it comes to certain things. I know not everything counts, but a lot of things do make it that the game's more enjoyable, and we do want to see that. So always, or continue to always keep that feedback as much as you can. Besides all that, I hope you guys enjoyed the article and the video. Thank you so much for watching. Keep on smiling, and I'll smell you later.